Go button. There we go. So, welcome to episode 200. A guy who used to be our Scotland correspondent. I say used to be. He's now went on to bigger and better things. Stephen Russell, how are you, sir?
Rab, very well, mate. Very well. Thank you for having me on. Episode 200, eh? What a moment.
I know, man. I'm still sort of pinching myself. It's not right. You know, you were with us, from the very early days of the Big Rab Show and helping us. You were like our main guy in Scotland helping cover stuff. And you remember what it was like at the very beginning, where we were kind of using very janky equipment and kind of struggling at times. But here we are now at 200 episodes, man. It's insane.
It's crazy. I remember when we first started, well, way back when, some folk might remember Grace Note Vortex. And we started that, I think, just about a month before you started the Big Rab Show podcast. Obviously, you've been doing the radio show for years, and you were so polite and you got in touch and you said, look, guys, I'm away to launching a podcasting as well. Hope you don't mind. Because I think at that point, the only other podcast was the old Chanter Banter.
Oh, do you mind that? Yeah, Chanter Banter, that's right.
I think Dan Nevins used to do it. I was going back a while now, before podcasting was even a thing. And it was just like, and that was the first time I think we'd ever had any sort of proper interaction, and it's been a growing friendship since. And then to go on to actually be part of the team for as long as I was, it was great fun,
That's it, man. So you, like I said, for those of you who don't know who Stephen is, he's now presenter, owner, operator of the Up to the Line pipe band podcast. Yeah. So you kind of cut your teeth with ourselves at the Rab Show, but then took that to something really quite awesome now at the moment, Stephen. How's things going at the Up to the Line pod? Yeah,
it's going well. We launched at the start of the year, and it's been going strength to strength, really. There was we noticed, well, actually it was Gary Nimmo, the owner of Ackley Bagpipe Specialists, who came to me and said, I've been pals with Gary for such a long time, and he was always a fan of what we did with Grace Note Vortex, and he was a fan of the Big Rab Show and Chanter Rant and all the rest. And he came to me and he sort of said, he was launching his own piping school. Well, he's been teaching for years and years, but he's now sort of self-employed, teaching his own, doing his own stuff. And he asked me, he says, I think there's a gap in the market for an educational pipe band podcast. What do you think? And it spitballed from there, really. So I rallied up the old Grace Note Vortex team, because Grace Note Vortex sadly went the way of the dodo, just through life and bad planning. But I'd always kept my toe in the water with the Big Rab Show in the podcast world. Just kind of learning from you guys and from the team there, and it was a sad day when I had to step away from the team.
Yeah. And at the time, we completely understood. But yeah, it was kind of gutting at the time, because fair to be said, you were a huge part of the team, because you were our main guy in Scotland, and you covered some quite big events for us. Like, you live streamed the majors, you were at Drummond for drinks, you presented a whole thing on the Fife Polis concert and all the rest. Is there any standout moments for you, Stephen?
I think for a while I was the only Scotland correspondent for the Big Rab Show.
That's right, yeah.
up until Deej joined the team. So, well, I think the first job I did for you was the Fife Police pipe band concert up in Aberdeen, and that was great. That was a great experience. I already knew Dougie Murray and a lot of the guys previously, so to go up and actually chat to them and get the behind the scenes, and I walked in right in the middle of rehearsing, and there was no sort of, and they were so welcoming from the word go. There was no sort of, who's this guy? Who's let him in? I went up with my big Rab Show merch on my chest, just to prove who I was. And that was, and getting to chat to Dougie and Brian and Cameron, who was basically the show director and producer. Cameron Barnes. Some of your listeners might know who Cameron is. And just to get an insight, and then that was the first time I stood and I live streamed just with my phone and nothing else. I was my phone and my two hands. Yeah. And that was it. And my arms were aching by the end of that concert.
Sure, you were hanging, yeah.
So at that point I was like, well, if I'm going to carry on doing this, we need to get some equipment, some basic equipment.
Yeah, that's it. It's hard to believe, you stand up just with a cell phone and you think, it's a phone, it's light. But see, after 20 minutes holding that thing, it's a ton weight.
Oh, it really is. So yeah, so the behind the scenes of the Fife concert was great, and doing the live interviews, that was good fun.
Yeah.
And then as well, going behind the scenes of the Scottish Power concert, just
That's right.
that
Yeah.
last before the pandemic ruined the season.
Mm.
That was great fun again, getting to interview Chris and Jake and watch. And I went to see the concert that night.
Yeah.
As a big Rab Show correspondent, I've got a couple of funny stories for you.
Oh,
So
there we go.
don't know how long you want this segment to be.
No, go for it. Yeah.
A guy called Kurt McIntosh, who is my old pipe sergeant from when we both played in Strathclyde Fire and Rescue days.
Mm-hmm.
He's now been with the Glasgow Sky for a long time, and he does all the organising for the concerts.
Right. Yeah.
The pre-World concert. So I got in contact with Kurt, kind of a, friend to friend, doing this for the Big Rab Show. Any chance of a couple of complimentary tickets? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah.
If you want me to pay for them, I would have paid for them, not a problem. But you don't ask, you don't get. So Kurt said, yeah, not a problem. When you get there in the afternoon, go speak to this woman in this office and she'll sort you out. Mm-hmm. So I went and spoke to her. She said, all right, yeah, here for the press and blah, blah, blah. And then I was actually sitting in amongst all of the RSPBA officials, me and my now fiance.
Wow, no way. That's where they sat you?
Those weren't the tickets we were meant to get. Kurt had said, I think I'll be able to get you a couple of standing room tickets. So when this woman gave me these tickets and they were actual seats, I was like, oh, Kurt's really come through for me. It wasn't until the next day he was like, you took 2 seats from a couple of RSPBA guests and we had to find other seats for them. And this was front row, middle balcony, had a perfect view, perfect for the acoustics. So that was very lucky. So I apologise to whoever we chucked out of their seats.
That is epic. I love that. That's brilliant. I can just picture 2 officials standing there dressed to the nines with a shirt and tie and all, standing in the back row.
While we were sitting in their seats enjoying the show.
Yeah. That's epic. So Stephen, as well, at Drummond for Drinks as well, it'll be fair to say you had quite a good time there, and you interviewed a bit of a celebrity as well, a bit of a stand-up comedian that's quite well known.
Yeah, Al Murray, the pub landlord.
Yeah,
that was fantastic. I mean, both myself, I think Deej got the better end of the deal. Apart from having to sit in the same spot and just film, I had to go to leave him for a toilet and a beer break at one point. But I was doing loads of running around that day and trying to catch, because if anyone's ever been to Drummond for Drinks, it is packed. I mean, it's quite a large space they've got, but there are so many people, so many performers, and then trying to run around and speak to them before they go on and after they come off. So it was good fun. And then all of a sudden somebody said to me, oh, Al Murray's here. I was like, no. And it was, and went and spoke to him and just absolutely chanced my mitt. And I said, here for a Piping and Drumming podcast, can we have a quick chat? Not a problem, he goes. And that's when we found out, obviously, he was part of the British Drum Company, and he was actually playing a gig in Glasgow that night with with a band that he played drums in, and then he did a stand-up set for about half an hour, which was fantastic. Yeah, tears rolling down my face.
It's now the stuff of legend. I think that video is still up there somewhere on our Facebook page. You can go and watch it back, and people keep telling him stop swearing, and he just keeps on swearing.
He just couldn't.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's really, really funny. So, Stephen, then through your time, obviously you were on the air on Fuse as well. You managed to hold your own for a couple of shows over there on Fuse. How did you find that?
Daunting, to say the least.
Why daunting?
I think with podcasts, it's pre-recorded.
You can edit. Yeah,
you can edit. You can start again. You can, if it's not going well, you can scrap it and say, "Oh, we'll try again tomorrow." Whereas when you're on the air with Fuse, even when I came on as a guest, what's that? 3 years ago now?
It was a couple of years ago. Yeah, I think so.
There's still that. Oh my God, this is live, and you got to be careful with what you say and how you say it, and once you've said it, it's out there. It's gone.
That's it.
You
There's
can't
no
get it
going back.
But no, it was great crack. I've always been, as a young kid, I've always been into performing, and being on the radio was always, I would love to be a regular radio presenter, so to get that experience was fantastic. Yeah.
Well, you never know. We might pull you back for another show or two, Stephen, because your shows were really popular, man. So there was, the music selection.
That's good to hear.
They were cracking, yeah.
I think a few people would rather I played at a few more pipe band only things, but you know,
Oh, right.
I'm a
Well,
big trad head as well as into my pipe band stuff. So you
of
know.
course. So am I, yeah. Well, if anything then, Stephen, over 200 episodes, is there any one that stands out to you as being your own particular favourite?
Well, first of all, Rob, I just want to say congratulations to yourself.
Thank
Because
you.
without you, there would be no Big Rab show.
Oh, God, I don't know that. It's the whole team, man.
But I don't know how you've got the time to knock these things out week after week after week. It's credit to yourself, mate.
Thank you. Thank you.
So favourite episodes
Yeah.
out of 200. The episode where you had the Chanter Rant Boys on. Well, I think they've been on.
They've been on a couple of times
the
now,
very first one they came on.
which was a nightmare to edit. It was an absolute nightmare. You know,
because they were such an unknown quantity at the time.
yeah.
And I remember meeting Andy and Josh when they were at that Worlds where they played with, who was it they played with again?
Ballybriest.
Ballybriest, and
Yeah.
you know, sort of, you know, said been following their journey and whatever else. So yeah, that stands out as a good one. God, what else?
There has been so many.
That's
the thing.
Honestly, I was having to think today, and I was flicking through some of the old ones, and you're just kind of like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, that was a good one. So I think just the coverage. Do you know what? I think your international coverage of what's going on in the pipe and drumming and solos and the trad stuff just all over the world.
Yeah.
I think really is second to none.
Oh, thanks, man.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So whenever we found out what's been happening with, you know, in the other associations throughout the world, I think you've done well to dance around the political issues
And
of
dance
the last
I have.
few years.
Yeah. And you know that firsthand yourself, yeah. Because I'm sure you were there during the middle of all that Streamgate and all of that nonsense.
Yes, yep, absolutely. Yeah.
You could just remember how stressful that was at the time, man.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have to say the reception at the games for live streaming wasn't the warmest. I wasn't thrown out, but certainly nobody approached to offer me a cup of tea or anything like that, you know.
It's kind of frosty, and is the word I would use.
Yeah.
Kind of
100%.
look at you and go, that's that Rab show, you know.
They kind of look at you as if you're the reason that we don't have full capacity today. And it's like, well, no, that's a whole can of worms that we probably shouldn't get into today.
Yeah. It could be the lashing rain or, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Actually, another funny story. I told you I had a couple. So
Sure.
the very first major I live streamed for the show was Dumbarton.
Oh,
and it was a glorious sunny day, standing at the Grade 1 arena, all set up, good to go. Had my Big Rab Show hoodie wrapped around my spot. I had my spot booked for the day. And about halfway through the Grade 1 set, I suddenly became violently ill and unwell.
That's right, yeah.
And
I remember that.
It was when Glasgow Police were playing, and it was coming to the end of their set, and I was live streaming, and I had to dash. I won't go into too many details. And when I came back, the live stream was still going on an empty field.
That's right. You just left the camera running, I remember.
Because I wasn't there, and I was so ill, but I kept going. And I'd had plans to meet up with people the rest of that night and day and go out, whereas I was staying at a friend's house in Glasgow, and I had to get his keys from him, and I just went and died on his couch for the rest of the night.
Horrible.
So if anyone there was ever wondering why all of a sudden, you know, it was the end of Glasgow Police's set and, you know, carried on live streaming, there was nobody operating the camera. That was why.
That was it, yeah. I think I remember after that, we were all like texting you, are you okay? What's going on, Stephen? Are you all right? But, you know, obviously no response because you were otherwise occupied. Yeah.
Yes, I was. Yes, leave it at
that. But I think, you know, one thing that people don't kind of realize is, you know, not just that you mentioned myself being dedicated and producing episodes, but that's because I'm the big face at the front of it. But the dedication of the team behind the scenes, Stephen, you guys work your arses off. You know,
and we worked so well together as well.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You know, with Rab Show Awards, we had live events, we had live streaming. There was so much, and all of you guys were all incredibly heavily involved in all of that. the team at the minute that you're about to listen to now and the rest of episode 200, those guys are constantly killing it, So is that one thing that you guys have brought to the Up to the Line pod, with all of your content and things that you guys are producing at the moment? Is it like a big team effort?
Yeah, well, at the moment, there's only sort of myself, Stuart and Scott, and we've got Gary, who gives us a lot of support as the sponsor. And not just with, helping us with some of the bills. Gary's heavily involved with the planning and finding us guests. He's done a few interviews himself, which will be coming up in the future. But we are expanding the team because it's, as you well know, Rab, it is a bigger beast than one man can handle. And
totally, yeah.
we have been trying to keep going ourselves, but it's a difficult one to keep the momentum going. So we are expanding the team. We're becoming a little enterprise with all, and like I say, we all volunteer our time to do it.
That's it.
So there's going to be bigger and better things coming from the Up to the Line podcast.
Superb.
Better planning, bigger team, more to come. We've got interviews with some really, really big names. We've got our Patreon. If anyone wants to come and see on all the perks we get on our Patreon, just patreon.com/up to the line. The future's bright. We've had our online contests, so there's going to be more of that in the future. We're very excited about what we've got to come.
Fantastic stuff. That kind of preempted all the rest of my questions, Stephen. I was going to ask you loads of stuff to do Up to the Line, but no, I'm more than chuffed that you guys have, you're getting ahead of steam now. Stuff really seems to be progressing well. So, honestly, best of luck, guys. I'm a huge fan. And for those of you listening right now, if you haven't listened to the Up to the Line pod yet, you need to. Type it into your search engine. You'll find them. It's dead easy. And you'll thank me later. So you will. Yeah.
Well, everything I learned from back in the day with Creational Vortex, everything I learned from being part of the Big Rab Show team, it's an amalgamation. And I think without having that experience, there probably wouldn't be an Up to the Line podcast. So I want to say thanks, Rab. Thanks to Deej, Erin, Andrew's wife, who was also a big part of helping out with the live streaming as well.
Yeah. That's it indeed. Thanks
all you guys, and thanks for having me on the team for the time I was on it. It was great fun.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Much appreciated, mate. And hopefully we will get you back on another podcast, hopefully to talk about more about the Up to the Line pod and stuff. But I think for now, we'll have to get back to the rest of the team now and hear about the rest of episode 200. Stephen, thanks so much, man. Take care. You too, Rab. And again, congratulations. Well done on episode 200 from all of us at Up to the Line. And here's to episode 300. Oh, shakers, no. I like,